Good people, we are back. Let's continue from where we left. Let's talk about hierarchical function. Hierarchy. Basically, what we mean by this is hierarchy. Hierarchy means has steps, right? In order. So what we mean this is steps. How best I'm looking forward to explain a hierarchy. Hierarchy is it's like there are levels, right? So same case to functions. One function is called and then the other and then the other. So this can also be called next function calls. So so basically a function is called, it outputs a code. Basically an output of a function A is being used by function B and is being used by function C. We can say function A, then you have function B, then you have function C. So the hierarchy is function A will output first, then function B, then function C. They can be dependent on each other in that the output of function A is being used by function B and the output of function B is being used by function C. We can see an example of hierarchical function output. Okay. Let's basically we'll deal with examples here. So let's use the pizza area. In our example here we're using the pizza volume and pizza area. So let's say you want to output the pizza calories, right? So we'll find the area. So let's first create a function. So we have function to calculate area, and then we have another function to calculate calories. So function is function of calories uses the function of data. So this is output printed out first, this is returned first, and then the return statement here is being used by the calorie function. Let's do an actual example. So we're going to do function. We've said we're using def. We're going to calculate. I'll just say area. Let me just use area. We're going to pass a parameter, which we say parameter is like variable. It's like you're defining a variable. Yeah. You indent here, then you say pi is equals to. Since I have not imported math here, I'll just write it as 3.149 14159 radius is equals to diameter, our parameter, you divide by 2, yeah, which means area of the cycle is equals to pi multiplied by radius multiplied by radius. Yeah, that makes sense. That's so we just return here, right? That's what we just done. Now we want to use this function to calculate calories. So we have found the area of this pizza. So you want to calculate the calories of pizza. So this is another function called pizza calories. Right? Calories. So we are going to pass here the diameter. So let me say pizza diameter. Yeah. So we've defined a parameter, just almost same as defining a variable. So we'll say calories per square inch. Underscore SQ supposed to. So we're going to use a rough estimator. That's just a value we just define it. We can use any other value. So total calories is equals to so we're going to use we're going to use our function to calculate the area. So we're going to say area, right, into diameter. So we're going to say into diameter. Basically we're calling the other function, right? So after that, then we multiply it by calories per square inch. So not just the we have right here, calories underscore underscore SQ underscore inch, right? So then you can now return the calories. You can now return the you can return the total calories. Total. How that make sense? How that make sense? How should it now should it make sense? Here is how it should make sense. So we have our first function to calculate the area of a pizza, right? So once this is done, we're going to use this function. We're going to call it here. And now we're calculating the calories of pizza. We're going to say the area of the pizza, just right here, multiplied by the calories per square inch. That's what we have here, right? So we're going to use this to calculate the calories we have. Where we return total calories. Let's do a print and then we see what we have. So when we do a print, we're going to say print let's use a format string inch. Pizza Hut. We call the function right here, the function to calculate pizza calories. So we say pizza calories. Yeah. So for the pizza calories, we are passing the pizza diameter, right? Passing the pizza diameter. So what's the pizza diameter? Pizza diameter is 12.0. You want to have the floating point. This one. Yeah. Dot. Two floating points. Calories. Let's go about the print we have right here. What this print shows is we are using the 12-inch pizza, right? So we are calling the function here to calculate the pizza calories, just this one here, and we are passing the argument here as a 12-inch. Sorry, we're passing the argument here as 12. This is a variable, this is a parameter. We're passing the argument right here that shows us the calories, right? I hope that's clear. Let's do a print of this and then we see the output we have. Yeah, this is in that the second function is dependent on the first function. That's the hierarchy. So this will output first, then the second function uses the first function. So let's do function 5. Yeah, you're supposed to use pizza diameter. So we can output this. I won't say flavor. Function 5. So 12-inch pizza has 1,888.72 calories. Now this is hierarchical output in a function. Second, first hierarchy, and then so this is first calculated, and then this is calculated next, right? I hope that makes sense. This is a simple example of how we're able to output two functions which are dependent on the other. So the reason why a person would ask is, why haven't we used and we passed a diameter right here? When we see our second function, our second function is called pizza calories. It has a parameter of pizza diameter, right? So to calculate the total calories, we're going to say area, right? And then we pass the pizza diameter. How that makes sense? Then we calculate it by the pizza, by the calories per square inch. I hope that makes sense. And we can do more. We can do more examples on using hierarchical samples. Okay, let's do next example. Let's do this is function 5. Let's do function 6 as a more example, to get more into. So we would say let's try and calculate a cylinder volume. To calculate a cylinder volume, we're going to say base area times the height, right? I hope we are all aware of that. Some maths we might have calculated before. So for us to calculate the volume, we have to first get the base area, then we multiply it by the height. So let's first, we won't use math here, unlike in our previous function. We don't use math. So we have the first function, right? First function will be to calculate the cycle area. Cycle underscore area. So we're going to pass a diameter. As we said, a parameter is more like defining a variable. So we'll say radius is equals to diameter divided by 2. Yeah, hope that makes sense. So what we're going to return here is math.py. So the reason why we've used we've imported math here is because we have not defined pi. Had we defined pi, there would be no need to import math. So we would say math.py times radius. So it's pi r squared. Radius called ours rad multiplied by rad. How does that make sense? It's our first function. So since we said it's hierarchical, so this will output fast, and then we use this to calculate the cylinder volume. Cylinder, let's go volume. So we want to pass the diameter, the height, right? In that, so base area is equals to our function here. We want to say cycle area. In our cycle area, we want to pass a diameter, right? So we want to pass a diameter, right? Now we'll go right here. So this is our cycle area, what we just have here, right? So base area will be, this is the base area, right? Then you multiply by the height. Hope that makes sense. So volume equals to base area multiplied by the height. Height is another parameter. So we have two parameters here. We have the diameter and the height. So we're going to use that to calculate the volume. So and then we just return volume. Let's print out an example. Let's print out format string. Then we have that, and so we'll say cylinder volume. So I can just pass the diameter and height. So here we'll just say then we say cylinder volume, then we pass the argument. So we can have 10, 20. So it's diameter of 10, height of 20, right? So we want to have it in two floating points. So we have a full quote here, dot, then 2, then an F for floating point. Hope that makes sense. So if we run this, we run Python 6. So we're going to say 1570. So our a volume of a cylinder whose diameter is 10, diameter is 10 and height is 20 will be 1570 cubic meters. Yeah. This is how a hierarchical function works. I hope that makes sense. We can do another example. Remember, we're doing a hierarchical. So basically, volume 2 depends on function 2 depends on function 1. Our volume depends on area, right? So we first output the area, then we use the area to get the volume. So basically, we breaking it down. We could easily do all of it in a single function, but we decided to have it in a hierarchical way. How that makes sense? So this cannot come before this, right? We cannot have the volume being executed before the area. It has to come first, and then area come first, and then we output the volume. So we can do one more example, and then we can I'll stop it at that. So let's say we want to calculate BMI, body mass index. Body mass index is normally your weight divided by height, right? Weight divided by height. You divide your weight by the height you have. Now let's do a function 7. Now let's do body mass index hierarchical functions. Yeah, so basically we'll first have our first function with a definition of height. Height in we want to have height in meters. So basically we'll pass height in centimeters. What we pass, our parameter here is height in centimeters. We want to have height in meters. So I'll say height. Let me just write it so that it makes sense. So we want to have height in meters. What we're going to do is we're going to say height in centimeters we divide by 100. Divide by 100. Does that make sense? Return height in meters divided by 100. Yeah, basically if you want to get height in meters, you're going to say centimeters, you divide by 100. Basically we're doing it's like we're doing a variable we're declaring a variable more. A parameter is like declaring a variable. Let's do our BMI. So BMI, as we all know, will be the weight all over the height. We have the first function taking in the height, right? So we're going to pass weight. Most likely it's normally in kgs. Yeah. Then we have height in centimeters, as we've full column, then indentation. So we'll say height in meters, the function we had initially. Height in meters is equals to, we're going to calculate height in meters, right? We're going to say height in meters. You can basically say, I already have this, I'll say height in meters equals to, height in meters we have our variable right here. Then you pass in the height in centimeters, right? So basically we have a new variable here. We're calling it height in meters. H, okay, I can say H in underscore M. Yeah, height in meters equals to the function we have. Basically the function we have, we just called it right here. So this is where the hierarchical function comes in. We've called it right here. So basically it will have to output this first, and then we have this. So we're going to say BMI now. BMI is equals to weight in kg, which we'll pass it as a, we'll pass the arguments to it. So weight underscore kg divided by height in meters. Yeah. Height in meters. centimeters, right? Then we just return BMI. I hope the calculation is okay. Okay, I'm not a doctor, so I hope calculation of BMI is with the weight you have in kilograms, you divide by the height you have in meters. So we are going to say print. Basically, you want to print. I won't print all the text. You can add any text you want there. But I want to pass the variable we have, the function we have. Sorry, we will say calc BMI. The variables we have there is weight in kg, which you can say you're 70. Then the height in meters will be 70. Height in centimeters, it means I can pass 175. Right? Passing height in centimeters. Then we want to have it in a full column. Sorry. Then we want to have it in two decimal floating point. Okay. So let's do Python 6. Basically, that outputs 40. So BMI is 40. Is that really true? Should we divide this by height in meter? Okay, this seems so. Okay, I guess my calculation is off a little bit. Let me do a research. BMI calculation. Equals to okay, it's height in meters squared. Sorry, it's height in meters squared. Sorry, should be height in meters squared. So this should be squared. Yeah, this should be squared. I was saying this value was a bit high for a person who is 70 kgs and 175. This is a person who should be healthy. So it's basically weight in kgs divided by height in meters squared. So basically we have to square our height. So to square this, we're going to say square 2. Start with basically you square it. So if we run that, it's 22.86. Now this seems healthy, but because a person who is 70 kgs and 175 centimeters is healthy, it's not badly. So the BMI is okay, it's within range. So we have seen how hierarchical works. So this will return fast. Then we come to this. I hope that makes sense, and I hope we have understood how the hierarchical functions works. We'll get more of it as we go along. Thank you for your time, and we'll get to learn more of functions as we go along. See you in the next one, good people.